Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Alright, so today we're going to talk about individuation and the narcissist, okay? I'm probably going to approach this from a completely different perspective and teach you something that you probably have never heard of before, okay? If you've taken psychology class, you should have heard of the first part, but it's the second part that I'm going to share a story about myself that will probably help you to understand it a little bit better. Alright, so a couple things first before that. So for some of us, I do believe it's empaths and people that are very open spiritually, we are in a kind of an interesting time. I think that ring of fire, what do they call it, the lunar moon, or was... Yeah, the lunar moon, I believe, that we just had about, I think it was like, what are we at? God, I don't remember. I want to say it was like 6-7 days ago, maybe a little bit longer. So if you guys didn't know it, because it wasn't advertised very much, but we just had another, like, what do they call that? It's when the Earth gets in between the sun and it hides the moon, and you only see, like, the ring of fire around it. So we just had that very recently. So I prayed just a few nights ago, went to the church, and I prayed for two things, and they both happened. And it was, one of them was a real emotional / personal issue I have had my whole life, and I just prayed, like, please take this away. And it's gone, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I thought, well, maybe just went away temporarily. Like, man, it's been about 3 or 4 days now. And I've been feeling really, really good. So here's my point. I found another YouTube video. I don't even remember what it was. It might have been a tarot card reader. I don't remember. I just clicked on it because of the title. And they had said because of this, our prayers, our wishes are coming true a lot faster. Okay. Now when they said they were talking about people that are very spiritual, empathic, open-hearted people. Okay. So most of you on this channel are very much that. So pray. Imagine having what you want, whether it's healing an emotion or whatever, okay? So pray now and watch what happens. Alright, so one thing I want to add to that is I'm really feeling my prayers. And what I mean is I'm feeling whatever it is, the feeling that I want. I just imagine it, and it's like I've let go or something, and I'm really feeling it. And I knew when I was praying, like, oh, this is actually going to happen. I could feel it in my body. I could feel the emotions of what I wanted. And that is the key to manifesting. There's something else I want to add real quick here. Something has shifted in my life, and it shifted a few months back, and something shifted even more just this last week, and I can feel it. It's not only that I can feel it, everything's happening. Money's coming in, people are calling, people are asking me about the workshop that's coming up in November here in the Bay Area that I'm going to do. It's everything, like everything is falling into place. It's like I'm meeting better people too. It's like God has finally opened the door, and it's like, okay, now it's time. Move forward. Alright, so a lot of you had some really, really freaky experiences with narcissists to the extent it scared you, it terrified you. I don't like saying this word, but I'm going to say it real quick. Like they were satanic, like something was not right. I'm going to tell you part of what it is, okay? There's something about narcissists that are just not normal. They're not normal, okay? I'm going to just leave it at that for right now, okay? And you sense it. Something inside you is like something is not right here. And when you struck back, fought back, spoke back to them, told them they're a piece of shit or evil or mean or shameful, it was like their own hand was punching them in the face. And believe it or not, but by discarding them, ghosting them, cutting them out, blocking them out, that was the best thing you could do for them if there is any hope for them at all. All right, so here's something I learned in psychology. I do not remember if it was Psychology 101 or Psych 1 or Applied Psychology. I don't remember which class, but somewhere in psychology I learned this. I remember. So here's what it is when we are first born, number one, our vision is only, I think it was something like 5 to 7 inches up to 12 inches, so we can't see very far. Now, what that is for is so you bond with your mother while you're breastfeeding, okay? This is a bonding thing. Not only for you, but for your mother. It causes your mother to want to protect you literally with her life. She will do anything in her power because you're making this very personal, intimate eye contact. It's a very emotional experience for the mother, okay? Now, for some mothers, clearly this didn't work. So when we're babies, now I do not remember the exact time, so from 0, the day of birth, up to, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to make a wild guess. I think it's up to about 3 to 6 months. I don't think it's as far as 9 months. I don't think it's that far out. But there's a certain period of time where everyone is you. In other words, your mother is not your mother is you. In your mind, everyone in the room, so your father walks in the room like, oh, that's another part of me. In other words, it's like when a baby looks at his hand, and they start to move it around, they kind of laugh like, oh, that's me moving my hand. Because in the very beginning, they're just flopping around, they have no idea, they're slobbering, they have no control with their mouth or anything at all. But slowly we begin to gain control. Like they kind of wiggle their hand, like, well, what is that? And like, oh wait, I'm doing that. Oh, and that's why they'll start to giggle and laugh. It's a very joyful experience. They're realizing like, oh, that's me. I'm doing that, and they'll keep doing it over and over and over, even though it's kind of uncontrolled. They can kind of flop it around a little bit. So when I was a little kid, when I mean little kid, I mean when I was first born. So this was probably the second or third day. They brought me home from the hospital. Now I have a phenomenal visual memory. I don't know why, I just do. And this is one of the reasons why, I think I might actually be different than other people, okay? So my dad was the one who was driving the car. They pulled up on the side next to the curb. And it was a beautiful sunny day. Now, mind you, I was about 3 days old. Okay, this was when they first brought me home from the hospital. I do not remember if I was 3 days or 5 days. And one thing I will tell you is I do not remember the hospital at all. I only remember driving down the road in the car and they pulled up. It was bright and sunshiny. The grass was freshly cut. I could smell it. And when my dad picked me up and pulled me out of the vehicle, when he turned around, there's a little puppy. It was a boxer dog that was born. I think it was the same week I was born, or maybe it was a few weeks before I was born. Came running out of the house, or not, it was kind of flopping around itself because it was kind of young, but bouncing out of the house. And I forget what else. And so when we were walking up the path, now I was telling my mother this. I was sharing something with her that I learned. I think it was from an NLP course, a 5-week course I'd just taken. Or it might have been the 2-week course I took. You know what? Actually, it might have been what I'm sharing with you right now. It was about how children's eyes can only see so far when they're first born, when they're breastfeeding, etc., to bond with the mother. And also how when we are first born, we think that everybody is us and everything is us. Everything is one. So again, when someone walks in the room, like that's kind of like another part of you, like your leg or your foot or your arm or something. They're not separate from you. In your mind, from your visual perspective, oh, that's another part of me. So I think I was sharing the part about the vision was only 7 inches or 12 inches or whatever. So I remember my father walking up the pathway and he walked up we had like one step, this little cement platform, and then there was the door. Now the door was open, so he walked right in. Now as we were moving towards the door, I looked at the frame that was above it, and I thought my dad was going to smash me against the frame as we were walking. And I'm like, oh my God. And then bloop, we were in the door. And I remember I turned to look back at the frame. I'm like, how the hell did that not hit me? Here's the funny part. Now, I was about 19 or 20 when I was telling this to my mother. I was at her place. And I think my sister was there, and I forget who else was there. And I remember her just going, and I'm like, what? She goes, you remember Dad carrying you to the house? You remember the dog? I go, yeah, I remember everything. She goes, Michael, that's literally exactly what happened. But here's the thing about it. I go, why did that scare you? And she goes, and she was like, wait, you remember everything? And I looked at her and I was like, oh, she thinks I forgot the stuff that she did to me when I was a little kid. I looked at her and I said, Mom, I remember everything. She did not like that. All right, so back to individuation. So here's the deal. When we're little children, again, we think everything in the room is us. We think every person, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, even the dog, like the way your brain orients, like this is me. Okay, I remember. Okay, so now. All right, so you guys, okay, have you heard of the terrible twos? So when a child is 2 years old, it actually starts before this, but by the time they're 2 years old, they really use it a lot, okay? So the terrible twos is when a child learns the word no. Okay, so around 12 months to 16 months, they usually learn the word mama, dada, stuff like that. But somewhere after that period of time, a year and a half plus, they begin to not only learn the word no, they begin to understand what the word no means. Now here's the deal. That word becomes a very, very powerful word to that child because it expresses an experience that he's been having for months and months and months. So the average infant, the average child, I don't remember the exact age, but somewhere around, I think it was around 12 months, a little earlier, maybe for some people a little bit later, you begin to realize, wait a minute, wait, mom is mom and dad is dad and I am me. They begin to separate. They begin to individuate. They begin to realize, oh, wait a minute. This is my body, and that's you, and this is me, and the puppy is the puppy. The puppy's not me. Mommy's not me. Daddy's not me. Even when mommy's holding me, mommy's not me. So essentially, they have very powerfully begun the process of individuation. They become their own being. So they experience this, but they have no way of expressing it until, they hear mommy and daddy say no once in a while, their brother and sister, and over a period of time, the mommy will look at the child and say no, all right? And then all of a sudden the kid goes, no. So that word no becomes a very celebratory thing to a kid, because to a kid, it's the only word that he has that he can basically, in a very kind of vague kind of way, say, I'm me and you're you. Now, you'll see kids that are 2 years old, or a year and 8 months old, or whatever, 2 years and 2 months old, etc. And mommy said, do you want some ice cream? And the kid goes, no. And the mom's like, are you sure? Here, you love ice cream. No. And you're kind of looking at the kid like, well, wait, your kid doesn't. I remember one time this actually happened. Like, your kid doesn't like ice cream? Like, well, no, she loves ice cream. She just, for some reason, doesn't, is telling me no. And then eventually the parents learn, if they keep persisting, eventually the kid, because when they take it away, the kid's like, oh, mommy, I want the ice cream. So the kid wants the ice cream, but they're so excited about this word that they start to use it everywhere. It's like, it's independence. It's like, no, I don't want ice cream. In other words, I'm me and you're you. So they use this word to express their individuality, individuation. If you didn't know, that's what the word individuation means. It means when you become your own individual person. By the way, a lot of you guys that are listening to my channel, you are learning things that even Savfk or any psychologist and none of the experts are aware of. I'm about to drop a bomb on you right now. And just so you know, I've actually taught you stuff that you will never learn anywhere from any of these guys because they're not even aware of it yet. my background and my education from psychology to hypnosis to NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, to energy healing, to this, how long I studied the Bible, have allowed me to see things in a way that no one else sees. Are you ready? No. 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 How many times have I told you guys that the way a narcissist communicates is in what I call negation? Okay, this comes from Algebra 1, Chapter 1. Okay, and you learn this in linguistics as well. Okay, so what do narcissists always use? No, can't, won't, shan't, not, right? Don't. They constantly are using those words. That's one of the ways you can decipher, like, oh, this is a narcissist. Okay, like if somebody uses those words a lot, get the hell away from them. It's okay to use the word no once in a while, or don't, like once every other paragraph, but if they're using like 5 negations in like 2 sentences or 3 sentences, get the hell away. Now, you might see it because it's staring you in the face literally right now. A narcissist wants the authority of a king while having the accountability of a toddler. No, no, can't, won't, shan't, don't, not, no, don't, can't. There you go, people. Here's the deal about narcissists. They are literally using the baby brain, even when they're a grown adult. This is why they're constantly saying, no, no, no. They are still trying to individuate. This is why they're constantly using these negative words and always disagreeing and always arguing. Do you want some ice cream, honey? Here's some ice cream. No, no, no. For those of you who have thought this and posted this on my channel, I feel like I'm dealing with a little child. You are. Literally, psychologically, they are still an infant psychologically. So for those of you who are trying to reason with a narcissist, literally it's like dealing with a 2-year-old in the Terrible 2 saying, no, no, there's no reasoning with them. You're dealing with a freaking child. You can even say, do you want some ice cream? There's no charge. It's totally free. You can't. There's no reasoning with them. So please stop trying to reason with these people. You're dealing with someone whose brain has never developed, and I'm not joking. Now look at the message on here. We cannot force someone to hear a message they are not ready to receive, but we must never underestimate the power of planting a seed. So when it comes to dealing with a narcissist, it's like, like in the last couple of videos I talk about the 2-dimensional brain versus the 3-dimensional brain. They can't comprehend anything. Any adult thing that we do normal as a 25, 35, 45, 55-year-old adult, they can't comprehend it, and I'm not kidding. It's like you're talking to a 2-year-old and expecting them to understand what it means to reason, or to listen to someone's side, to listen to understand. No, their whole thing's no. They're just going to go to the other side. They literally are just going to disagree. If you say the sky's blue, they're going to say no, it's not. If you say today's beautiful, they say no, it's not. They just disagree. So they talk about objectivity because narcissists can't separate things. They can't see the difference. So everything to them becomes like an object, because it's like, well, this is me, or this is mine. This is like mine. So you ever notice how some children will be like, mine. That's probably a narcissistic child, and I'm not kidding. So if you look at narcissists, a lot of times they have this glossy look in their eyes because their pupils are kind of dilated. It's like, God, imagine walking through the world thinking everything is you. Like everyone, every person, every being, every dog, everything is you. You walk through this world literally like you're God. I mean, that's the way you view and perceive everything and everybody. Now here's the deal, that glossy look that I'm talking about, you've seen it a lot. Every time you look at a little child, a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, even probably 3 or 4-year-old children, they just have this glossy look in their eyes, okay? Especially when you go younger. I don't know what age to stop at. But you'll see even kids in their 8, 9, 10 years old when they're in a new situation, they kind of get this glossy look. But it really, I should go back in age. And by the way, complete individuation is not. It doesn't finish when we're 2.5, 3 years old or 4 years old. There's levels of individuation, okay? But at this point in time, they're very aware, like, hey, this is me, my body, this and that is you, and we're not the same beings. So we have to learn how to, make money, pay our bills, feed ourselves, take care of it. So that would be a complete individuation hopefully, at least in America, we believe by the time of 18. But because of technology, individuation truly comes like around 22 or even later than that. Now that doesn't mean everyone's a narcissist. No. Because all 80% or 90% of those people, they've individuated physically. They're very aware that their parents are their parents. Whereas a narcissist doesn't. Alright, so my point is this. If you want to get practice at seeing that glossy look, go look at some children. And I mean infants, about 8 months old, 9 months old, 6 months old. And just look at the... Okay, wait a minute. There's an image online that I can grab right now. Hold on a second. Now, is that the cutest little baby you've ever seen? Alright, so here's the deal. Look at that glossy, lost... Look at the eye. Cute little baby. So if you've seen a grown man or even a grown woman, they kind of will get this glossy look in their eye when you're talking to them. This is how you know they have this, it's a glossy, spaced out look in their eye, okay? So this is the best example I can give you. The reason why I bring this up is because I saw this in someone who I hadn't seen in about 20 years or something, and I had no idea they were a narcissist, and they didn't tell me right away. I was kind of reconnecting with old friends and stuff, and I think I went back home like twice or 3 times, like within 2 or 3 weeks. And I remember one day he was talking to me, and he just had this, and when I was talking to this exact same look, and I remember looking at him like, well, that's weird. That's something just I didn't know what it was. Now, this was within the last 2 years, by the way. Now, this guy is in his 50s, about 53 or something like that. And now here's the deal. Well, he had told me the next time I went back, because I was talking about, he goes, hey, what's going on? You seem a little off. I'm like, dude, I've been dealing with narcissists and this and that. And I started explaining what they were and how horrible they were. And then out of the blue, he goes, well, Mike, you do realize I'm a narcissist. I'm like, wait, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, me and my wife, when we were married, she made me see a psychologist. And they had me take this test and and I had to see them for like a while. And they're like, hey, man, he's a diagnosed narcissist. And I was like, oh, my God, fuck. So this was very briefly after I was dealing with that narcissist that really messed with me about 3 years ago. So all of these memories came back to me. Like, there was a friend in high school that were like, so-and-so's weird. He's an asshole. And I remember looking at my other friend, oh, why are you talking that way about someone? He goes, because he is. And I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. And that other friend, so we used to be a crew of kids, about 5 or 6 or 7 of us, and these two would just go at it. And I remember the one friend, I don't want to give any names away because I actually still love these guys. So the one guy was really trying to warn us, like, no, he's not normal, he's this, and he would be like, F you, man, and the other guy, and it would just be back and forth. And now as I look back, it's like, oh my God, this guy, he wasn't using the word narcissist, but he was telling us everything else about what he does, how he does it, what he's doing. And we just, we were thinking, like, dude, what's wrong with you, man? Because we were kids, we were like in high school, we didn't freaking know. So here I am in his house, and he's telling me, like, Mike, well, you do realize I'm a diagnosed narcissist. I'm like, what? And so even the memories from the last hour or two that I was there, I was like, holy shit, he was gaslighting me. He's been marrying me the whole time. He's been doing this. And I'm like, oh my God, he literally said blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I was like, boom. And I left, and I never went back. And we messaged a few times like, hey, man, I'm really sorry, but I am not dealing with any narcissistic bullshit at all. And I wasn't trying to be mean, but I was like, no, especially back then, like there was no way I was going to deal with that. So the reason why I bring that up is because I remember seeing that glossy look in his face, and something inside me kind of freaked out, and I was like, whoa. So I remembered what we learned about babies in psychology class, how they can't see the difference between them and others. There's no separation. I was like, oh, that's what individuation is, blah, blah, blah. And then my friend's, his eyes like, oh, that's what it is. They're still that part of their brain where they were a little tiny infant. They've never developed it. It's never gone past that. So when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're essentially dealing with a 2 to 2.5-year-old baby saying, no, 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 literally. But this is the cutest little baby. So it's okay for babies to have that glossy look, but not grown adults. So now after you heard everything I just told you, this actually makes sense, doesn't it? The narcissist wants the authority of a king while having the accountability of a toddler, because that is exactly what you're dealing with. You're dealing with this being, this child that can't individuate, so they think everyone and everything is them. That's why they view people as objects, okay? And they don't understand that you have feelings, because in their world, the only feelings that you got to understand, they're walking through life as if they're God. And even the president of the United States is just another part, like that's their finger or one of their hands or another hand or another finger. Like, that's me. Do as you're told. I want you to move this way, so move this way. I want you to stay back here, so stay back there. When I come back to get you to play with you, I'll come back and get you. They literally walk through life down the sidewalk like they're a god, and they literally have temper tantrums when they don't get their way. That sounds familiar to you, doesn't it? Now, even when you look at little children that are 2, 3 years old, 4 years old at the store, and they grab a toy or a candy bar, and you say, no, you can't have that, and they flip out and they drop on the ground, they start yelling and screaming and spinning, no, mine, and they flip out. All of a sudden you are realizing that child is like, I'm king, I'm God, this is what I want and I shall have it. And they're looking at you like you are being a bad subordinate. And this is how a grown narcissist looks at the world too. They've never grown out of this. They've never truly individuated. They can't see you as a separate being. So here you are trying to negotiate with not only the king of the world, but the God of the universe, thinking that you're going to tell God what to do. And they're looking at you like, whatever, man. This is why they are so dismissive to you when you have a request, when you want to sit down and talk, when you want to reason with them. They're looking at whatever. They literally snub you. They look down their nose, whatever. And the reason why this happens is because the mother was never truly there emotionally. They may have been there physically, but they weren't really there. Now, I'm not talking about all mothers. This is very rare. This is only in narcissistic cases, okay? So please don't think I'm talking about women or mothers in general. I'm not. So because the mother was never there physically, emotionally, like it was like as Sam Vaknin will say, like a dead mother, like they're just non-existent. That the child, the narcissist, never had a chance to individuate from the parent. Like it was like they were non-existent. So they had to create this false self, and they're trying to individuate with this false self. Now, believe it or not, when you block a narcissist, when you walk away from a narcissist, when you just like no, and you leave and you say no more, it causes them to have a narcissistic injury, which means they begin to flip out and they lose their shit and they cry and scream and yell, and what happens is, in a way, it kind of helps them to hopefully one day individuate. That's why it's a good thing to do that. So here's the deal. The reason why a narcissist will pull you into their life is because and here's what they're looking for. They're looking for a nurturing a nurturing person, a nurturing image, someone who's nurturing. And you could be the male in the relationship; it doesn't matter. But if you're a very logical left brain male, they're not going to pick you. They're going to pick someone who has softness, who is kind, nurtures people, and then what they're going to do is they're going to try to use you to individuate with. So, okay, here's generally how that happens once you get into your teenage years. Alright, so I had a goddaughter, and it was very interesting watching her go through high school because, damn, talking about shifting, I mean radically about every 3 to 6 months or so. One of the things teenage girls will do is they get into what's called pack mentality. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them, or on the softball team, whatever, and they can be very intimidating. It is really weird because they intimidated the shit, like, holy shit. Like out of the parents, and they did that to me one time, and I was like, well, what the fuck? And I talked to the parents. They're like, Michael, we're all going through this. So they they begin their own little tribe. It's like, we don't need you anymore. Okay, we're our own people. They're essentially trying to individuate. Now, this process is not a very kind or gentle or comfortable process. They yell, they scream, they call you names, they say bad things, and they do bad things. They break the law, they get drunk, they're like, no, we're going to do whatever we want. And so what they do is they get this pack mentality, okay? So they join up in packs. So essentially when the narcissist does this to you, that's the same thing they're doing, because generally when you break free from your parents, there's usually periods of time before you're 18 years old where you're trying to be your own person, yet they're telling you what to do. So there becomes this power struggle. There's yelling, there's fighting, there's screaming, there's name calling. There could be window smashing, maybe even keying your dad's car, or who knows what you did, right? So it's a power struggle. It's not a nice, easy thing to go through. And this is what narcissists are doing to you. Okay, the problem is it never ends. So if they ghost you, if they throw you away, if they discard you, they never completely individuate. So they have to start all over again. They have to find another person, another one, and eventually they'll come back to you and they'll do it to you again. So they're desperately trying to individuate, but they can't do it this way. But watch this. If you are the one that discards them, it throws them into this power loop that really flips everything upside down. So this is why it's really important for you to discard them. If you do that, there's a better chance that if this happens to them at least enough times, they will finally individuate. So hurt them, discard them, throw them away like trash. It completely flips their world upside down. It rips everything apart, and now they have to start from ground zero, because now they're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like, I can't explain. I know it's painful, and I know it seems mean, but it actually is the best possible thing that you could do for them to hopefully one day snap out of it. So maybe they will begin the process of individuating. It doesn't mean like all of a sudden, boom, one day it's over. No, it's like the process that you started when you were about 8 or 9 months old, when you started going, wait, that's mommy and this is me. This is my arm and that's mommy's arm. So that process you started when you literally were an infant will begin with them. Now, this doesn't mean all of a sudden they're not going to be a narcissist. It means if this process does happen, again, this is just like a hope and a prayer, a wish and a prayer out there, it's going to take many years for them to stop using narcissistic tactics, because that's how they got everything they wanted out of life. So now they're going to have to relearn everything. The problem is with most narcissists, nah, it's much easier doing it this way. And on top of that, they still don't really care about your emotions and feelings, because it's still about them. So the point being is, if this does happen, it's going to be one hell of a long journey, and they're going to need a really strong reason to let go of the old ways. And that is where we leave this at. So if you're hoping like, oh, well then they're going to change. No, if you go back to them, then they're going to discard you, and now they haven't individuated. You have got to discard them for good. And hopefully the next person and the next person, and the next person does the same thing to them just as harshly. They slam the door in their face and completely discard them. This can possibly cause them to finally move down this journey of becoming an individual by individuating. And because of social media, the word is spreading fast around the entire world, and people even in Washington, D.C. are learning about this, okay? So it is very possible that this is beginning to happen to a lot of narcissists right now. Hey, God bless you guys. If you guys like this video, go ahead and click subscribe, click the like button, make a comment, and if you want, go ahead and click the PayPal link right there in the description box and make a donation. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.